Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Cordero, and I am a holistic coach and soul mentor. You are tuning in to Diving Deep with Denise. This podcast intends to create a sisterhood, a tribe of women that gets to have raw and authentic conversations about all expressions of what it is to be embodied as a woman. Through the vulnerable sharing of our stories, we get to invite other women to share theirs, to be empowered, to be healed, and to boldly step into their authenticity and truth. Today, I have a very, very special guest. Her name is Falak Shaiikh, Dr. Falak
Yes.
Shaiikh. I do not want to forget that. She has an amazing and extensive resume, which I will share parts of it here. She is a healer, a homeopath, a best-selling author of 2 books. One of them is Soulmate Mantra, and the other one is Wounds to Wisdom. She is a wife, a mother of 2 beautiful kids. And as a doctor of homeopathy and an energy healer, she's been engaged in healing and personal transformation for more than 15 years. She loves helping men and women heal, grow, and transform into the best versions of themselves and to live life in abundance with a soulful, loving relationship. Welcome, Falak. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, tell us about a little bit about your journey and how you came from a doctor in India to a doctor, energy healer, best-selling author, and relationship coach here.
Yeah. So I was born and brought up in India, and I had my education in medical field in homeopathy, where I did my master's in homeopathy in India. And I was practicing homeopathy and integrating other healing modalities to heal patients and help my clients. And in 2018, we moved to Canada as a family, and that was quite a transformative time for me, I can say, because at that time I had left behind my country, my identity of being a doctor, because here in the West, the homeopaths are not entitled as doctors. However, you can practice as homeopaths. And also, after moving here, it took quite a lot of time for me to even get registered as a homeopath. And so I had that blank space of around a year where I felt I was nothing. Like, what am
Mhm.
I without this identity that I had for myself of being a doctor? And in that space, there was a lot of stuff happening, because I literally felt I had left behind my friends, my family, my whole practice of 15 years. I had my clinic back there. And here I am again, where I don't know what I am, because suddenly I cannot refer myself as a doctor, and I don't know what to do now, or what do I address myself as. And in that space of being nothing, it was my time to explore what I can be now, or what I am, rather, I can say. And then I deep dived into my feelings, into my just getting in touch with my soul, that what is in essence, what do I love doing, or what do I enjoy the most, or what brings me greatest joy in my life. And I realized that greatest joy is when I see people heal. So at my soul, at my heart, I'm a healer. And being a healer, I had always I haven't referred myself as a healer before. I always addressed myself as a doctor, because that is more conventional, that is more logical. And when you say someone, like, that, oh, I am a healer, it sounds a little boo-boo type of a thing. Like, oh, what a healer. Oh,
Yes.
all you do your energy thing, all those auras and chakras thing. Like, the people at times call out in that way. And so I was really scared to to own my healer self. But I think, like, everything happens for a reason, and that is the reason I moved here. And the land of Canada, I can say that it has brought me closer to myself by providing me that space to rediscover, to find my truest self, like, that what I am at my soul. And then I worked around the beliefs, the blockages around accepting myself as a healer. And only then later I started putting out myself as that I am an intuitive energy healer. That was the first step. The second step that happened for me was, what do I want to do now? Like, how do I what is that I truly desire? And the first thing that came to me was writing a book. I had, since years, I wanted to write a book. I had these ideas that I want to write about, but being so much engaged in my professional life, like, of being a doctor, I never got that space and time to deep dive and like, tap into my creative essence. And only when I had that space of not being that, like, not I being as a doctor, I could tap into those gifts of mine, and I started writing a book. And that was the story that I wanted to write, was my first book, The Soulmate Mantra. And I saw that so many women especially are struggling with the area of their relationship because of what they have gone through. And I had experienced the same thing as a child, the traumas and woundings that I had. I came from a dysfunctional family where there were constant fight between my parents, and still they stayed together, and I grew up seeing that. And I always had this desire to build my relationship out of love and nothing else, where we have awareness to resolve our conflicts, right? And this was my journey of understanding of what kind of a man I want in my life, what kind of a relationship, a soulmate relationship that I'm looking for. And healing those beliefs, patterns, wounds around relationship, and manifesting a soulmate relationship was one of my story that I wanted to bring forth and help women manifest a soulmate relationship. So definitely my book, the first book that came out, was about relationships. And even while I was writing the book, I had started having people who were like, passing through challenges in their relationships, and they came to me, and I said that, okay, yeah, I'm a healer and I can help you with that, because I'm writing a book. And I had already started helping people and had my coaching clients uh, um, to help them resolve the conflict in their relationship, and to help them manifest a soulmate relationship. So this is how I began my journey. And even before I finished my book, I already had my practice as a coach set up, and being like, helping them with all the tools and techniques that I had learned so far in case of energy healing. So I had been like, integrating all of that along with the wisdom that I had from my life experiences, helping them to find love again.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Speaking of finding your soulmate and working closely with people for them to find your soulmate, what would you say was the hardest part in terms of, the healing process in order to attract that into your life?
For me, I feel I had because I had a very difficult relationship with my father. It was very difficult. I had this I can also say it was a karmic bond with him, because me coming from India, from a Muslim family, he being a very restrictive, controlling person, where he had his set of ideologies of following religion and having a girl to be in a certain way, right?
Right.
And me being a rebellious kid, like, I had a lot of hatred towards him, because I felt he was not letting me be free and be who I am, and like, and I was being restricted and controlled. This is what I felt, and I hated him for that. And because of that unresolved conflict with my father, I was in a constant look out for a man. Like, as soon as a teenager itself, I remember I would easily be wanting to be in a relationship as soon as possible, because I wanted to get away from this person. And I felt that because the relationship between my parents was so stressed, I wanted to be in love as soon as possible, and I wanted
Yeah.
to be love to be the base of a relationship. However, because of all the woundings that I had, all the patterns and excuse me, and the beliefs that I had been carrying, the first relationship that I attracted was a man who was super controlling, who was possessive, who was restrictive, and who literally kind of abused me. And only I did not realize that, but I knew in my heart that this is not what I want in my life. And then my quest started, I can say, that why do I have a father like this? Why do only I have a father like this? Why do my other friends have a good relationship with my father? And why I have, this kind of a man in my life whom I'm not happy and I feel so much hatred for? And in that quest of questioning,
Yeah.
that why it is there, I started looking for answers. I started understanding that we are the creator. And of course, my background to homeopathy helped me understand myself more, getting in touch with my feelings, my perceptions of the reality, that I carry, that, oh, he's controlling, or he's that fear of being suppressed as a woman was so much in me that whenever there was any instructions as a parent, I would take it as a suppression and react, that, oh, I'm not going to do this, because any kind of. And only when I resolved and saw those aspects in me, and I was able to see his perspective, that being a father of a young girl and being in a conservative Muslim family, he has his own insecurities and fears, and he's
Yes.
acting out of that. But what I saw it as only control and suppression, right? Only when I understood those patterns in me, that this is in me that is creating this reality for myself, I could resolve my relationship with him. I could love him for what he was. He has passed away now, but I'm so glad that I could tell him in the end that I loved him. And I really resolved those conflict with him. I did a lot of forgiveness, forgiveness practices for whatever he has. He did have a troubled relationship with my mother, but it was his and
Right.
my mother's patterns that were playing out. However, I resolved those within me. And only when I resolved those issues with my father, I was able to have a man in my life who was open to growth, loving, and we have a beautiful bond, and I could manifest a soulmate in my life. So I feel this challenge with him, most of the when we talk about the feminine and the masculine energies, most of the women who are
Yes.
unable to have a problem in love relationship, mostly I have seen that all the women I have worked with have troubled relationship with their fathers, because the first masculine in a woman's life is the father. And whatever
Yes.
patterns that you have with the father, we tend to repeat, because the masculine energy remains same, the outer manifestation. The outer manifestation of masculine energy in relationship, it's the romantic partner. So we tend to play out the same drama, in kind of relationships that we had with our parents. And for men especially, it is the first feminine, that is his mother.
Right.
So if you have that mother wound, you are going to play out, that is going to play out in your relationship with your partner. So this I think was the most challenging thing. I believe that if that had been unresolved, I would have attracted men who would have been same as my father, because unless
Yes.
I learn my lessons that I have with him, I would not have been able to let go of that pattern in me and evolve out of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So here, as someone who has run the gamut of my relationship issues and have been married multiple times, um, the very common story, at least in the West, for us women, is that, of my generation, is that we grew up with fairy tales, tons of fairy tales when we were little girls. The Cinderella, the Sleeping Beauty, the, and all of it has these major themes and archetypes that play out, and which is that the woman or the girl is this damsel in distress, and there is this one
Yeah.
prince, or this one that is going to save us and sweep us off our feet, and it's going to be happily ever after.
Yeah.
Do you, when, in your clients, do you see this archetype and this story continue to play out, where us as women are disempowered instead of stepping into who we are as women, and are looking for that savior or for that one to take care of us?
Yeah, that's an absolutely amazing question. Thank you for asking that, because, like, many of them, when I talk about soulmates, and many of my clients come to me and then they say, oh, we do not need a man. Like, we do not need a man to, I'm okay being myself. I'm okay by myself. I do not need a man, like, and why I have to have a soulmate? Why I have to be in a relationship? And I'm not like, when I talk about soulmates, definitely I do not mean that you need a man, but definitely it's like, out of, as you said, that many of women think that they need a man to rescue them, to kind of take care of them. And not only, I would say that even for me right now, I'm learning, because it is so necessary to have that balance of the feminine and masculine within oneself first, to become that whole, to be that whole, to bring that wholeness and completeness within, and then being like, having a man who is whole in himself, and then you two whole people share the journey together and be a companion in this journey, where you help each other grow and transform and hold space for each other, where you can bring out the best versions of each other by holding space for each other. And that way the journey becomes more faster. I feel like, the instead of 1 and 1 becoming 2, it becomes 1 and 1 as 11, like, when you work that way. However, I feel like, and that is the reason that, like, I'm just sharing one of the incidences that happened some time back. And there was something that happened with my in-laws, and I was pissed off with my husband that he did not take stand for me. And that was in a burst of anger that happened. But later on only I understood that taking a stand for oneself is a masculine quality, and I have to integrate that within myself, rather than being dependent on him for doing that for me, right? And this is how I cannot, like, I have to be complete in me. I have to trust my masculine. I have to keep my masculine in front whenever it is required. I have to speak up, take a stand for myself, rather than being dependent on him to take that stand. And I understood that in myself, and I conveyed him that I know I did that, that why didn't you do that? But now I understand that I am the first person to stand for myself and integrate that masculine in me, where I have that sensitivity of the feminine and the courage of the masculine to speak up, right? And this is how I learned my lesson. So rather than being dependent on your Prince Charming to rescue you in a situation, it is you who needs to bring out the inner masculine of having that courage, feeling secure, standing up, speaking up, and becoming whole and complete in oneself. And he
Yes.
also, like, as a partner, he can hold space for me to help me reflect that what did you feel in this, why are you being angry, like, it is how we hold space. And so it is so necessary to become whole and complete in oneself. And just a few days back, an incident happened with, while I was working with one of my clients, and she was pissed off with her partner, and she said that she's pregnant, and she said that, oh, he doesn't take care of me, he is busy in his own stuff, he's like, he's not. And this was her lesson. When we reflected back and, like, we worked around, it was her lesson to learn to take care of herself, be a nurturer, be a like, you know, taking care and loving oneself is also nurturing, includes nurturing, self nurturing. And this is where she was dependent on him. And when we could reflect that you are dependent for something on your partner, and the dependent relationship would always create a chaos, because he has his needs, he has to attend his needs, his business, everything. But if you keep on resenting on him that he's not taking care of me, whereas he's just being a mirror to show you to take care of yourself by being unavailable and being not caring. So he's just showing you that you need to do it for yourself. And so it is so necessary for men and women both to integrate those parts in each one of ourselves, what we are expecting out of the other, what we are dependent out of the other. So it is no more like that, oh, a woman should have a prince charming who can, we as women need to be balanced in our feminine self, should learn to take care of ourselves, nurture ourselves, and our masculine selves, where we can protect ourselves, stand for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, rather than expecting it from outside. Of course, if you have a partner who stands up and protects, and it's beautiful, right? But when you have that lack, you would have a partner who doesn't do that. When you are whole and complete in yourself, you would have a partner who is whole and complete in his masculine and feminine self. And so you would be provided from that outside as well, right? The neediness that we have in ourselves, like, oh, I need my partner to take care of him, why doesn't he? So because of that need, I would constantly attract a partner who doesn't provide me that, because my lesson is to integrate that within myself and be whole and complete first. And then I can have a partner who can take care of me, love me, and nurture me, right? As we say, that self-love first. If I do not love myself, I would have partners who do not love me, because they are teaching me how to love myself first. If I have deep self-love, I would have a partner who loves me to the core. As simple as that.
Great, thank you so much. You actually brought a very interesting point in terms of when you were talking about how a partner mirrors for us and how certain conflicts can exist within a relationship that offer us opportunities for us to reflect and to think about what is it that we need to work in ourselves, what is it that we need to integrate, what are the energies that may be off balance.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that you could speak to, you know, the whole dynamic of soulmates. I think that sometimes there's a misperception that if you find your soulmate, again, that it's going to be this happily ever after and everything is going to be perfect. But we have found, you know, quite the contrary, that relationships, you know, are very dynamic and very fluid, and we're bringing in two separate whole individuals, hopefully, that come together to share a life together. And in fact, conflict is almost expected, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. And and they can offer us ways of really learning about ourselves and a way of healing. Can you speak more to that, how conflict can sometimes be an opening or a doorway for growth in a relationship?
And when I talk, definitely when I talk about soulmate relationship, it doesn't mean that there is no conflict, rather than can be more conflict, because when we talk about soulmates and twin flames, they are being mirrors to each other, and that would bring out so much of stuff for oneself. And that's why even in my book, the Soulmate Mantra, I have said that there are 3 stages of any relationship. Like, you know, the first stage is the honeymoon phase, right? Where there is all rosy picture, you like the person and you show up your best self. Like, you know, when you are going on the first or second date, you would put on your best dress, maybe even if the person is late, you wouldn't throw a tantrum, because you want to be appearing nice to the person, right? You want to be liked. So we put our best foot forward when we are in the honeymoon phase. However, even researchers say that the honeymoon phase ends in either 6 months to up to 2 years. It can be early in some relationships. After that, the honeymoon phase comes the second phase, and what I call it as the revelation phase, where you start revealing your true self, like, where you things start triggering you, when you feel offended, when there is anger, when there is burst outs, where you are less patient, you do not tolerate any shit kind of thing, and you throw off your tantrum. So those are the revelation phase, and that is bound to happen because the hormones settle in now. There is no estrogen flaring up there, right? And the hormones
Yeah.
settle in and start it. That comes a point where things start to trigger about your partner. Oh, why did you leave the wet towel on the bed? Like, simple thing as that. And that is the time to start working. That is the time when you have to take responsibility, personal responsibility of your stuff, of your baggage. I say, like, I talk about this baggage, and when I say baggage, it is the trauma and the wounding and the patterns that you have brought. So I say that it's like, two people are not in the relationship alone. They have their own baggage that come along with them, and in the revelation phase, the baggage starts opening up, like, the whole, and
Yeah.
you kind of throw up into the relationship, you spill it up on the relationship. And this is the time when you take responsibility of your own baggage. Okay, this is something that triggers me, and I need to look into it, that what is about it that is triggering me, where it is coming from, and I need to heal that pattern. You can work on that relationship. But most of the relationship, even if it is a soulmate relationship, and it
Yeah.
is not the when you do not take responsibility of your woundings and traumas and your baggage that you bring in, the relationship is either dies off, either. And now in the Gen Z period, you move on.
Yeah.
It did not click. I moved on because he was so nasty. It triggered me so much. I do not want to move on to the next relationship. And this is what people usually do. If something gets, the honeymoon period ends, revelation phase starts, and you start revealing things, and people move on after that. But if you want to work on that relationship, you move and qualify when you start take personal responsibility of your trauma, wounding, you evolve, you heal. The other person takes responsibility of his stuff, and you work as a couple, as individual as well. And then you mature into the awakened phase of the relationship, where you as a couple can hold space for each other, where you can help each other reflect, where you do not play the blame game. You take
Yeah.
personal responsibility, that okay, I feel triggered because you said this. However, I'm looking into myself, that what is it about this statement is affecting me, or and then we can resolve things. And this doesn't mean that you do not give a reaction, or you never be angry in a relationship. It might be, but other has that awareness that this thing has triggered the other person. Maybe there is some wounding that the other person has, so let me give her or him the space to internal witness what's going on, and then we can talk about this later. So that only comes when you understand that every person comes with a baggage, and you
Yeah.
help the other person heal that baggage, rather than playing that blame. Oh, you told me this, you did this to me, you said that, like, so that doesn't work. Only when you start working on during that revelation phase on yourself, bring in awareness in whatever is happening, then you can be matured into the awakened phase of the relationship. And that is the phase that helps you live the relationship a long term, like, unless, of course, when the paths become different and you choose to separate with awareness and conscious, kind of what we say as conscious uncoupling, that is a different story. But you can work with this awareness for a very long period of time, and then your relationship can evolve, and you as a person can evolve, and the relationship can evolve, right? So this is how I have narrated about the 3 stages of relationship.
Thank you for that. So I wanted to go back to the whole thing of soulmate and twin flames. obviously, you know, we live in the digital and information era, and anybody at any point in time can Google something and it becomes the hot topic or the hot word of the moment or of the time. And when emotions are high and you feel like you're in love, you know, the
Yeah.
person that you're in love with feels like your soulmate,
Yeah.
feels like your twin flame.
Yeah.
Can you give us some common ground or definition and understanding of what actually is a soulmate or a twin flame?
So, for coming to soulmates first, so soulmates not necessarily be romantic relationships, but in context
Yes.
to my book, I'm talking about the romantic relationship soulmates. Soulmates are also like, soulmates is simple that people who have lived before with you. It can also be your parents, it can also be your brothers, siblings, it can be your friend, that can be soulmates, like, with whom you have shared a lifetime before. And you, like,
Yes.
every soul has a soul group, like, with whom we incarnate. So in this lifetime my mother would have been my sister in the previous, so she is my soulmate because we have lived before. But when I talk about soulmates in case of romantic love relationships, it is the most
Yes.
compatible person, a romantic relationship that is most compatible for you. Because and whenever I say that manifesting a soulmate relationship, your the person whom you hate the most can also be your soulmate, like,
Wow.
because you might have karma attached to it, right? Because I know, because I had visions of my father being a abuser in my previous lifetime,
Yeah.
right? And I, in that regards, he was my soulmate, but he was someone who was not we were not compatible. Only with awareness and healing I could mend my relationship with him, but we were triggers, like, we were not a compatible soulmate. So I can say that he was my soulmate because we had reincarnated again. But in terms of relationship, romantic relationship, a soulmate is a person who we are most compatible with, right? So, and you might have lived before together as well, either as husband and wives, as partners, or as lovers, whatever it may be, or just brothers and sisters. But this lifetime you are born as a, like, you are in a dynamic of romantic love relationship.
Right.
So that is about soulmates. However, in twin flames, it is said, like, twin flame is a twin flame are the two souls who are kind of coming from a same soul, and you are like divided into two souls, and so you are exactly same mirror of each other. And it is
Wow.
said that it is very rare to find a twin flame. However, because there is so much of mirroring, the lack of awareness can reflect, like, can cause a what we say as they would be pulled apart because of the conflict. There is so much of conflict because of the exact mirrorization of who they are, right? So if there is lack of awareness, it might cause a lot of trouble in the relationship. However, if you are aware, if you are constantly working on your patterns and baggage, and it might be a relationship where it might cause a divine union, a sort of an enlightenment and awakening. And it is said that if you have a union with your twin flame, you are kind of enlightened, and, like, you achieve
Okay.
nirvana or moksha. So, but that is, I do not have the experience of having a twin flame in my life. However, I feel I have seen some twin flames. I do not guarantee that you would not be born again once you are in union with your twin flame, because I haven't seen that kind of what we say, non-frictionless relationship between twin flames. Because most of the times twin flame relationships, either it is very difficult for them to be in a relationship because of they might be into already married, or, like, somewhere else with their own partner, so they cannot be together, or they are geographically very distant. There might be times at that. So there are a lot of challenges in a twin flame relationships, and a union that is very smooth is seen less, according to me. However, there are cases where there are twin flames who come together for a higher purpose, like, where they have a higher purpose to serve the world, like, and they can have to come together. together. And with awareness, they can work on the relationship as well as they can fulfill the higher purpose that they have come to serve.
Awesome. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you so much for that. That clarifies so much confusion because there's so many people that have a different definition of what is twin flame,
Yeah,
what is soulmates,
yeah,
can you only have one, can you have multiple, that sort of
yeah,
things. And I
yeah,
know that when we fall in love, there is this as
yeah.
you say, right? All the hormones are in play,
Yeah,
all these
yeah. The
chemicals.
honeymoon phase, everyone seems like your soulmate. Wait till the revelation phase, and you will see whether it is or not. However,
Yeah.
irrespective of the definition or the entitlement that we give as soulmates or twin flames or any other relationship, if a relationship has awareness, has accountability of taking responsibility of one's own baggage, if you are ready for and open to work and grow, I feel it doesn't matter whether it is a soulmate or not a soulmate. The relationship is going to work out. It is going to serve you. It is going to have a higher purpose, and there is going to be a deeper level of love and connection, because it takes a lot to hold space for the other, to be vulnerable in a relationship, to show that I am getting affected, I am getting triggered, to show your emotions in front of a partner. I think that itself builds the bond, deepens the relationship. And irrespective, you call it a soulmate or you do not call it a soulmate, it doesn't matter, right? Those are only the terms that we have for our ego satisfaction, right? Oh, it's a soulmate relationship or it's a twin flame relationship.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So I wanted to take a moment to sort of segue into the section of the episode where I call dive the 5 deep questions or the deep
Mhm,
dive, so
mhm,
that we can get more into who you are, your journey, and sort of the core and the essence of the things that through our experience what we can teach others. So
mhm,
my first question is, and I always love this because I feel that there are lessons that we obviously need to learn in this lifetime. And
mhm,
unfortunately, those lessons come through hardships that kind of repeat each other. They keep on repeating until we get the lesson. So
mhm.
what would you say has been the hardest lesson that you've had to learn in your life?
um I have, like, few few dark nights of the souls, like, one of the thing was when I had a 3-year relationship end for me, like, and at that moment of time, I went through a kind of a sort of a depression where I was lost. I did not know what's happening, and it was like, these were the stages where I feel that universe had played a role, like, universe had given a direction to my life which I was not ready to accept, which I was not ready to
Yeah,
surrender to.
yeah,
And because of that, it caused a lot of pain for me. I was in depression, and I, like, this is what I realize now. I did not have that awareness back then, because at that moment you feel that, oh, this is unfair, or this is not right. However, I have realized that all those moments where you have not played a role, but something has happened and you feel that, oh, life happened this way. This is where the universe gives you a redirection in your path, where it wants you to take to a different path, right? So in this relationship, it happened that I was into a relationship, and then I took my time to reflect whether it is the one I want to be with. And in the meanwhile, this guy got engaged to someone else, and I was in shock that I just took my time off and he's already engaged. How did this happen? How did it be like this? And there was a deep sense of rejection and feeling of abandonment that I had felt. But now that I understand that there are no rejections, but it's a redirection, right? And but in that moment, it took a lot of time for me to come to a point of acceptance and letting go and being fine. And of course that incident also helped me deepen the level of self love that I had, but it was one of the most difficult or challenging times at that age for me. I was in my 20s, and it was very difficult for me to understand and reflect and see. But now that I see with my wiser self, I can see that, okay, there are no rejections, but it was a redirection. And I feel so happy that that happened that way, because if that had not happened that way, I would not have found my relationship that I am in right now. And I would not have been married to my soulmate that is my now husband. The second most challenging period was exactly when I told you that I moved from India to Canada, and I was in that period of complete loss of identity and complete confusion that which direction I want to go, or who am I if I'm not this. So that was a quite a challenging period, because you feel so identified with your ego self, like, you have that, oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, like, I am thing. It becomes so huge, and it builds up so much of ego. And suddenly when that is being erased, or that has been taken off, you suddenly feel you feel nothing. And it is not that nothingness out of awareness that I am nothing, but it is that ego identification that, oh, I'm nothing, right? And then you move into a stage of, okay, who really I am in my soul, right? So that was quite a challenging period. And that was like, that awareness came after a while, after me being desperate to be something again, like, looking for courses. Oh, how can I be doctor again in Canada? Let me do ND, a naturopathic doctor. It includes homeopathy as well, and all those things, like, okay, I can do this certification, I can be a nurse again, I can be a medical representative, or anything, like, so that was the desperation of going into doing, right? However, I took that pause and I said, no, let me go within and see what I want to be, right? And only then, and then after desperation, of course, there was depression, because I felt, oh, I do not know what I want to do. I'm nothing. I'm like, and the regret, why did I even choose to leave behind my career and come here? Like, so all those stages, and then came the awareness and the deeper understanding of things. But of course, in that moment, you feel lost, you feel depressed, you feel, oh, what I'm going to do about it. It was a challenging period. That's why I told a dark night of the soul.
Thank you. We have so many things on a daily basis that is pulling on our attention. And you brought light to so many of those things, like who am I being, or who do I need to be? And there's a lot of expectations and the pulling of attention for this or the other thing. And as women, being caretakers, being the wife or the sister, the daughter, and so
Yeah.
many other things. Which would you say are the top practices that helped to center you and to ground you and to bring you into self again, that you think may be helpful to share with everyone?
Yeah. So I feel journaling is a beautiful practice that I have inculcated since a long time, since my days that I started my journey. It helps me reflect within myself. It helps me connect within, of getting in touch with my emotions, how I am feeling. So putting down into your journal whatever is affecting you, bothering you, triggering you, just in, if even if it's a situation, because that actually helps you bring in clarity of what happened. Journaling can also be a beautiful way to just dump, like, when you have an overactive mind, like,
Yes.
it is a beautiful way to dump it down somewhere. Because if you cannot, or speak it to or speak with someone, if you cannot speak with someone about it, it's a beautiful way to dump it down in the journal, so that it's not in your head going around and around, like, so that would help you calm your mind as well. There, it is also a practice where you can like, if there is a conflict between a person and you are not unable to confront that person through journaling, whatever you are want to say to that person, it is a beautiful way even to resolve the conflict within oneself by journaling. So I think this is one of the beautiful practice that I have in my, and I have included in my daily life. The second is, of course, in the journaling, I would also include journaling your dreams, because I feel dreams are beautiful window to your subconscious mind. And I always have my journal beside my bed, because every night, every morning I wake up, I have a habit of journaling my dreams, because it helps me reflect what is going on in my subconscious mind, right? So that is why that helps me to look deeper into myself. So that is definitely one thing. The another thing is any practice that you include as a form of a self care. For me as women, I feel it is so necessary to keep oneself as a priority, because me being a mother of two kids, having a family, having a business, everything, I feel at times we tend, I was, and many women do tend to forget themselves, forget taking
Yes.
care of their own beings.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my practice that I wake up 5:30 in the morning, I do my meditation, I do my qigong, and I do my hour of yoga practice. So that is my time where I say that this is my self care time. This is what I do for myself. And because if I don't, because I have kids, I have to send them to school, I have to make their breakfast, make lunch and stuff. And then you do not have that time and space to be with yourself, to have that time for yourself. So any practice, I would not say you have to specifically have any. If you like dancing, if you like singing, if you like cooking, it can be anything, but something that you are doing it for yourself. It can be painting, right? So you taking out daily time for
Yeah.
yourself is helps me keep sane, like, or I get insane,
Absolutely.
I lose it, like, so for my sanity, I wake up early and do this ritual. So any practice, it can be yoga, exercise, jogging, walking, anything. It can be anything, but include that an hour, I would say, for yourself. It can be just sitting and listening to music and journaling, anything. So that is so necessary for oneself. And
Absolutely.
definitely, the third, number three, I would say, having a time for inner reflection. It can be through meditation, it can be through just not letting build up your emotions, like, having that time for reflection, what had happened during the day, what are the things that had triggered you, like, not letting it build up. Because at times what happens, because we are so busy in our day-to-day life, we are so
Yeah.
busy in our work, we do not have the time to process. We as women, we I believe that women are multitaskers. They do not do one thing, they have so many things on
So
their
true.
plate. And so it is so necessary that we allow the channel to flow. When you have things built up either in the form of emotion disturbances, and when you do not address things that is going on, that blocks the channel of energy within you. So it is necessary to take the time to clear those channels every day in whatever form you can. Like, whatever way is the way of channeling your, clearing your channels. It can be in the form of meditation, reflection. Of course, journaling comes in that as well. That is a way of clearing your channels. But addressing the emotions, processing of the emotions, not letting it build up, will help you take, like, be aligned and in flow, and kind of be in sync and in alignment a lot. So constantly working on clearing those channels of whatever is affecting you, bothering you, processing your emotions. So that is the third thing I feel that would help, and like, live in alignment.
That is great. Thank you so much. Those are amazing tools, some of which I actually you do myself.
Yeah,
Journaling, meditating, I think
yeah,
are amazing, amazing. I probably can think back to when I was a teenager that I started. At that time, it was called my diary, writing
Yeah,
in my diary.
yeah.
So yeah, journaling and meditation are so great for really coming back to oneself, and can be used for so many things, whether it's dream journaling, reflecting, healing, really discharging a lot of that mind chatter that goes on for us on a daily basis. So thank you for that. My next question would be, as healers, as coaches, as light workers, I think that we are trying to transcend and the conditioning that we have in the world as we've grown up, and the expectations, coming to a place of authenticity, of service, of wanting to contribute not only to our families, to our communities, but also influence and help others on a bigger scale. What kind of legacy or contribution do you want to leave in the world?
So, the first and foremost thing that I understood within myself is the purpose of what is the purpose of your life. Like,
Yeah.
for me, the purpose of life is to serve as many people as possible. And through my work, this has been always my focus, to help and serve as many souls possible to heal, grow, and transform.
Yeah.
And like, in one of my meditations, I had this vision, and it was literally shown that when you help someone or you serve someone to heal, grow, or transform, he or she in return is going to help others do the same through
Yes.
whatever they are doing, right? It
Yeah.
might be they are, like, one of my client was a psychotherapist, so she had her own clients that she's going to help. When she unlocks herself, she's going to serve and go be of service in her own ways. So we have a different form of doing the service, but when you are, like, serving one person, that is in turn helping others. And this is how we are upgrading our energies. We are upgrading the energies of Mother Earth itself,
Yes.
right? And this is what I feel is, like, by living your truest authentic self, by living your purpose, you are helping so many souls by the work that you are doing. So, like, if like, I have an amazing friend, she is an artist, she's a singer and an artist. Through her art, she's serving, she's making a difference, and she's living her purpose, living her legacy. So me living my legacy is in the form of all the souls that I have helped and transformed, who
Yeah.
in turn are going to be of service to other so many people whom they are going to be in touch with. Like, Denise, literally in my one of my meditations, I was shown that it works on the like, what we say, the law of vibration,
Yeah.
where when you vibrate at a higher level, and anybody who comes in touch with, it's like a tuning fork. If you have a vibrating tuning fork, and if you bring a stationary tuning fork in close proximity of this vibrating tuning fork, the other stationary tuning fork also starts vibrating almost at the same frequency. And this is
Yes.
exactly a human being's work. When I am healing myself, when I am raising my vibrations, whoever is coming in touch in my proximity, as a friend, as a client, as a family, they start similarly vibrating at a similar frequency. And this is how I'm making a change. So any client that I'm working with, I'm helping them raise their vibrations, and whoever comes in their touch is going to rise in their vibrations. So this is how we are all living our legacy, by putting out our truest authentic self out, by being of service. And definitely this was the purpose of writing the book, right? That is that, so that it reaches out to as many people as possible. So when I'm writing a book, it is kind of a download, like, in a way, a channel
Yes.
information. And the person who reads that information, it brings in a transformation for them. It brings in a shift within themselves. So it is kind of like, where you are initiating the person into something, like, onto that path. And this is how, so definitely my books are also a form of a legacy that I feel that I'm leaving behind, like, and I realized that only some time back, that, oh yeah, this is a legacy. Because my children, when they grow up, they are going to know that, oh, my mom wrote this book. It is being left behind. Like, they are going to read it. So yeah, I think we leave our legacy when we are living our truest, authentic self, when we are doing what is needed to be done in this world, when we are living our purpose, and by using our gifts that we have brought onto this world, by recognizing our truest soul, like, like my friend, she's an artist, she has a soul of an artist, and by tapping into those creative juices, she's creating her art, bringing out into our world, and she's living her legacy. And same as me tapping into my healer soul, helping people heal and transform, and living my purpose, serving them, is my legacy that I am leaving behind.
Thank you so much. That is so, so, so beautiful. So I want to bring us to a close. And before that, I want to thank you for being here and for sharing your wisdom and so many amazing nuggets. I know that I received so many insights about attracting my own soulmate and being happy with my soulmate since I'm married, but that working on balancing that feminine and masculine energies within ourselves and bringing ourselves whole into relationship and seeing the beauty and the gifts that can come when being in right relationship with another, and the things that you can still work on and heal and integrate with your partners. I also loved when you said, that it wasn't a rejection, that it was a redirection. And that
Absolutely.
is so, so important.
Yeah.
Because our ego can definitely play a number on us and make us feel wounded or hurt by other people's, we want to feel accepted, we want to belong. And sometimes we don't realize that when a door closes, it's not a rejection, but a redirection.
Yeah.
Take us into, have us be more aligned with the right opportunity
Yes,
instead of
absolutely.
the wrong one. And
Yes.
so I think that that's important. Before we close, I want, if you could share, please, with our audience, what ways can anyone get in contact with you that wants to do some relationship coaching or some energy healing or some homeopathy? How can they get in contact with you?
I do have my website, but you can share the link with them, www.falakshaikh.com. And I have my one-on-one private mentorship, a 3-month mentorship. It's called Rising in Love. And that is to help women have a soulmate relationship. Also, I'm launching my new course that is being launched by the end of April, that is Bounce Back. And specifically, it is designed for anybody who is going through a breakup or a heartbreak in a relationship and would like to move on and let go. So that's a group program. So I would be launching that well. I can share the link and we can share it with the audience as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Are there any other last words that or impressions that you want to leave with our tribe?
Just, I want everybody to take that responsibility of self healing, of whatever you create in your life, that we all are creators of our reality, and we have the power to change our reality by doing the work. So just take that responsibility and accountability of whatever you create in your life, as you are the creator and you can change it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, thank you
Thank
for
you.
being on here, Dr. Falak Shaiikh. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody, for tuning in to Diving Deep with Denise. Please like, share, subscribe, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Be sure to share this with everyone who may benefit from this and grow our sisterhood and our community. Until next time, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and having me.